Welcome to Stormwater Drainage Solutions. In this video, we're going to be talking all about drain pipes and roots. Why do roots get into drainage systems, how to keep them out of drainage systems, and what I have seen out in the field for doing this type of work the last 10 years of my life. So first things first, it does not matter what kind of drain pipe we are talking about here, whether it's PVC, corrugated, cast iron, clay, concrete, triple wall, dual wall. All the pipe types do not make a difference when it comes to roots getting into them. What makes a difference is going to be how the pipe was installed, how far away it is from said roots, and if that pipe has proper fall on it so it does not hold water. So when trees, shrubs, bushes, when they're growing, the feeder roots grow underneath the ground to feed that tree with water and nutrients. Those feeder roots grow out roughly the size of the canopy. They can go a little bit further than that though. And their number one goal in that ground is to search for water and nutrients to feed that tree. So if your drain pipe was not installed properly and it is holding water, these tree roots will eventually find their way in. And they find their way in probably 9 times out of 10 at a joint. Now they can also find their way in at improperly installed pipes as well, which I will be showing you that later in the video. But take a look at the size of these trees here that were ripped out of the ground. This was on some private property that I was on not too long ago. And the farmers were doing work and they ripped these out of the ground because they were making space for stuff. So take a look at the size of these roots. I don't care what kind of pipe you're using. If that tree is near that pipe, it's going to eventually crush it and the roots are going to get in. So you can see we're installing just a simple downspout drain here with some PVC SDR 35 and we are near a tree. So we're going to take a few precautions before we bury this system up to help ensure that the system lasts and we keep those roots out for as long as possible. The very first thing we are doing here is making sure that our trench has a flat bottom and it is sloped at least 1% so that that water will drain out. You can see how meticulous we are with scraping the bottom here to make sure that it is a flat bottom and there's not going to be any bumps or bellies because you want to evacuate that water out. Now here is a system that we had to do work on. This system was improperly installed. The grate here you can see has a ton of palm tree roots that grew into the top of it. Basically what this system consists of is a 4-inch Schedule 40 main line with 2-inch pipe that they hole sawed into the 4-inch Schedule 40 pipe and they just stuffed the 2-inch pipe down into it. Now these palm tree roots, they grew all around this grate, they grew into the grate, and then they also grew into that bad connection. So ultimately roots ended up getting into this pipe. So you can see we did the best we could by cleaning these out, but ultimately this system will need to get replaced. Now here's some camera inspection footage of the system that we were just cleaning those roots out of that 4-inch grate. And you can see there is the 2-inch piece of PVC pipe that was just stuffed down into that 4-inch. So improper connections are another major problem of how and why tree roots will enter in a drainage system. If the connections are bad, then of course the roots are going to be able to get in there a lot easier and a lot quicker. So the goal when you're installing drain pipe, especially near roots, is to make the connections as solid as you possibly can. Now you can see here I'm priming and solvent welding these 2 sticks of SDR 35 pipe together, and you want to make sure that you're using both primer and solvent cement, especially if you're in an area with a lot of roots. It's going to make a more solid connection. Now a few other tricks that I will be talking about in this video to help keep the tree roots out of the pipe is going to be copper sulfate, copper tape, and there's also copper mesh products that you can use as well. So we'll touch on that a little bit more in the video. But I will say probably the number one thing is to make sure that pipe can drain all the way out, because if there is water sitting in a belly in that pipe, or if the pipe can't drain all the way out for whatever reason, the tree roots are way more likely to get into that line because they can sense and they can sniff out that water and nutrients that gathers in there. Now, using a good quality leaf filter on a downspout is also a good idea because it keeps large leaves and debris out of that pipe. Now, here is a camera inspection of a 4-inch corrugated line. Now, you can see the very first thing is shingle gravel. There's a ton of shingle gravel in the beginning of this line, but that is not the reason why this line failed. The reason why this particular line failed is because of improper connection at the joints. The pipe itself was actually pretty decent when we dug this and got this out of the ground. It was not crushed, it didn't have holes in it, but the joints were not tile taped, and that's exactly where the roots had entered in, was at the joints. Now, here in this camera inspection video, I'm going to be pushing the camera forward so that we can see the process of how a line becomes backed up like this. So the very first thing that we see, obviously, is all the shingle gravel and organic mud debris that has rotted in the beginning of the pipe. As we make our way further down this pipe, though, you're going to see roots, and you're going to see a lot of roots. There's going to be enough roots here that clog up the pipe. Once the roots have gotten in and they start to grow through the pipe, it clogs it up, and you're not going to be moving shingle gravel through that pipe anymore. You're not going to be moving debris that gets into that pipe. So the steps that I always see, at least here in Florida, is first the roots get in. Once the roots get in, the water can still flow past the roots, so it continues to work for a little while. But then over time, as leaves and debris enter that line, they get hung up on the roots. As the leaves and debris continue to build up in the pipe and get hung up on those roots and create a bigger clog, then water starts to become restricted and water cannot flow through that area anymore. Then what happens is the shingle gravel starts to really settle at the bottom and not move through the pipe at all, because now you have, the first is the layer of roots that grew in there, then you have a layer of organic material, which is leaves and sticks and seeds, and then you start having all the shingle gravel and sediment that starts to build up at the bottom. And once that occurs, that's it. The entire line becomes clogged and it's failed. Once it gets to this point, you're not jetting this line out. You're not going to be able to snake this line out with a cable auger. You're going to bend the cable all up, possibly cut through the single wall corrugated pipe as well, creating further punctures and problems. The cable could wrap around your hand. Ask me how I know. So my point being is, once it gets this far, that's it. This line is done. The line needs to be replaced. Now here we're going to be doing a quick inspection on an SDR35 system. You can see we're in a belly right now. That's why it's holding water, and you can see how the shingle gravel is starting to build up here. So the shingle gravel will continue to move through here as long as no roots begin to grow in there. If the roots start to grow in there, then all that shingle gravel can no longer move through that small belly. So you can see here Miguel is sprinkling copper sulfate in our trench to our downspout line that we are installing. So this copper sulfate will slowly dissolve and it will release copper ions into the soil surrounding the pipe. These copper ions, tree roots do not like to grow near them. So this will help repel the tree roots away from growing towards the joints on our pipe. Another thing you can do is you can utilize copper tape. You can put copper tape around the joints, and that will also help deter and keep tree roots away from those joints. It's the same concept. Over time, those copper ions get released, they surround in the soil around the pipe, and it repels the tree roots from growing into that pipe. So these are a few methods you can use to keep the tree roots away and out of the joints. You can also use copper mesh. They sell copper sleeves. There are different products on the market to help prolong the life of a drainage pipe, especially if it's going to be buried near a root system. But the number one way to keep tree roots out of a drain pipe is to not have a drain pipe near tree roots in general. Now, obviously, I know that's easier said than done, but if you can avoid planting a tree near your sewer system or near your drainage system, I would highly recommend doing so. All right, so this is the grand finale of this video. If you guys made it this far, then you are about to learn one of the drainage industry's best kept secrets when it comes to blocking roots. Now, I would not recommend using this product lightly, and I would only use it in extreme circumstances. So what this product is it's a drainage fabric that has these black nodules all over it. And what these black nodules are is they are time-release capsules to a very powerful herbicide. And this herbicide works extremely well. We have dug up old piping systems that have had this fabric wrapped around certain sections of the pipe, and anywhere that this fabric was wrapped around that pipe, there was not a single root touching that pipe, and that section of pipe came out of the ground super clean. So I can tell you from experience that this product works ridiculously well. But you need to err on the side of caution, because this is a herbicide that is being released slowly year after year after year in the soil. So it's probably not the best for the environment, and you can get the same type of action with copper products and copper sulfate. So I would only recommend maybe using this product on extreme cases, and it needs to be well thought through. You obviously do not want to use this product near wells. You do not want to use this product near animals, farm animals, things like that. It has to be very well thought through with this product, because it is a herbicide that's going to be constantly being released. So keep that in mind. If you guys enjoyed this video and found any value in it, give us a thumbs up. It really supports us. It supports the channel. It helps out what we do. If you need drainage in the Tampa Bay area, give us a call at 813-614-3456. Stormwater Drainage Solutions has you covered.